Yo, it's a little early. It's a little early. Look, today we're gonna be talking about web3. You know what I mean? You feel me? Web3. Web3 in this mug. You feel me? So, Web 1 was, like using computers on the internet in like 1992, 3, 4, you know what I'm saying, 89, you know what I mean, sending the first email. And Web 1, it was a cool thing that you could do, but other than that, it really sucked, right? It was really trash. Web 2 and Web 1, started out trash and it developed up, you know what I mean, into AOL. We started from using MS-DOS and how the hell that even worked to, now all we knew that the internet was AOL, right? And so, I don't know if you're young and you're watching this, you have no idea what AOL is. AOL was America Online, and it was kind of like using like one single app to use all of the internet. But at the time, all of the internet was, Yahoo and Pets.com and Amazon, and it was only a few sites. We had this notion that, at the time it was true though, but the notion was that using the internet was very difficult, right? It was very hard to do, and, there was so much you had to understand, and you could get scammed, and you could get a virus, and blah, 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 blah. And so AOL was like, hey, don't worry, it's okay. We're going to take care of you, and we're going to make sure that nothing harms you, and here, we're going to make it easy. And, and then that quickly, when AOL came out with an instant message, because they saw that people were sending emails back and forth, having entire conversations, they're like, you know what, we could just put an instant message thing there, and now people could just talk directly. And then came chat rooms, where you might not know this person, I might not know this person, but we're meeting in this digital space that allowed us to talk to each other. And then, so like the end of Web 1 was that AOL became too rigid and too much of a closed circuit for people to use, because we outgrew the training wheels that AOL was on the internet, and we wanted to do more stuff. And there was like cooler stuff that you could do, like things you could order and whatever that you couldn't do via AOL, because they began to make it like a pay to play thing with sites where, because on some sites you just couldn't go on it with AOL. Like, it was kind of whack like that, right? So anyway, Web 2 was, okay, ditch AOL, you lose the subscription service, forget it. Internet connections improved with DSL, right? And that's like, the step before cable, if you don't know what DSL was. And cable is like kind of what everybody has right now. I guess it's upgraded to fiber or whatever. Anyway, so, Web 2 was like, okay, let's just use a browser and I'll just type in the website I want to go to. Yeah, I might, I don't need to do the instant messaging anymore. I want to play games on the internet, et cetera, right? Like real internet gaming, like Counter-Strike and Command and Conquer Online and Warcraft. And, there's all this stuff that you could do online now because you got rid of the training wheels, right? Because these interfaces became too complicated to use a rudimentary interface as a go-between. You had to interact with it directly, all right? Then you had that, and all that was cool. The end of Web 2, actually, no, not the end of Web 2, but the catalyst for Web 2's evolution was MySpace, right? And when people saw how MySpace was going, what they didn't like was it was just too, everyone had a MySpace. Everyone had a MySpace. In high school, like I was in high school when MySpace was really popping. I was like 7th grade to, sophomore, junior year when it's super popping. Okay. And, you meeting girls on MySpace, or, connecting with friends, and, MySpace got too crazy because you could do so much real crazy, stupid stuff with it. and it just got too much. And then when I was in my freshman year of college, I got introduced to Facebook, and it came out the year before. So like my senior year in high school, it came out, which was 05 or 04, 05. College, my first year of college, that's when Facebook dropped. And what Facebook did was took the best parts of MySpace, added a feature called the scrolling feed, which was tight, right? And then, and then just cleaned it up and made it more uniform. Because, like, you go to somebody's MySpace page and they're playing, like, Savage Garden, and you're like, oh, God, I don't want to hear this song right now. And then they come out to, they go to Up in Here with DMX, and it was like, I don't feel like doing that right now. I don't want to hear this. Like, what the hell, And so, Facebook kind of cleaned all that up and made it more streamlined. And that was the beginning of the evolution of Web 2.0 out of the MySpace era, where you had a platform with a specific use case that had too much broad control for the user into something that was more streamlined, right? And then, you come with the Instagram and Twitter. And there's cons that came with that, too, because it was just... it was like too much control it was centralized. You know what I mean? The control was really centralized, where, Facebook really began to have, decision-making capabilities on what you saw as an individual, right? Down to the individual level. And that created, the way to influence and whatnot. And we are, it's been a long time. It's been like almost 15 years since the beginning of that evolution. Now that I think about it, wow. And, a whole bunch of more apps came out, and, we're starting to expand the idea of social media because of YouTube, because of Clubhouse, you know what I mean? We're starting to and then we're also now seeing or understanding, looking under the hood of these social media sites, and we're seeing, it's kind of like you have a car, like if you ever had a 2003 or 4 Corolla, it was when they came out, like when they just came out with the new body style, but then it was pretty fast if you got the quick the faster model, but it had a limiter at 110. Don't ask me how I know, but it had a limiter at 110, and you'd want to go faster, you know what I mean? But it just wouldn't let you, right? That's how this social media phase we're in right now, this is kind of like what's going on, where you want to do other stuff, you want to see more, you want to expand your ability to use the interface, right? But it doesn't let you. And we don't like the control, and the control has been co-opted by a lot of corporatism. You know what I mean? Like, really, that's really where the problem lies, is that there's like a financial incentive to control what me, Teddy, sees with my eyes and hears with my ears. Like, there's like down to that granular, what I'm seeing at 9:08 in the morning, you know what I'm saying, is important to some corporation or whatever, and then, somebody gets paid something, or there's some kind of influence there, or nudges me in a certain direction, blah, 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 blah. We don't want that anymore. We're done with that. We don't want that. We see how toxic it is. You know what I mean? And even though a lot of this is user-generated content, you know what I mean? It's just controlling how we see that content. That's the problem. So Web3 is the next evolution of that, right? Which is, it's about time, you know what I mean? But Web3 now is the decentralization of information, communication, and content. You know what I'm saying? And along with that, right, like information is also currency. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like the currency, the value of the data of when Teddy goes to the bathroom and what kind of toothpaste he uses in the morning. Nah, I'm talking about like, currency is actually just information. Like how much I have in my bank account is just information. You know what I'm saying? And then when I transfer $5 to so-and-so, that is just information that $5 now has made it to so-and-so, and $5 has left Teddy. It's all just information, right? And so we're talking about information, communication, and content, right? Multimedia, right? With those three things, we're now entering the. Sorry, I'm trying to look for this place, but I can't find it, and I think it's just because I'm not paying attention. Look, we're entering this phase where this is what we're doing, or this is what we need to happen. We need to send and receive information, communication, and content. Okay, now we have corporations that have been here from Web 1 and Web 2. And so they know how these things go, right? And they know how to place themselves, what players to look for, the best use of their funds, right? In this phase, in terms of the going from, the centralized, or not going from the centralized, but in terms of, having a new technology and how it's going to be disseminated and adopted, by the masses. And because of that, right, they're all up in the space, man. There's so much money to be made right now, not just with cryptocurrencies, but like all the activity and behavior that these kinds of platforms and this model of blockchain, can influence, right? But these folks are into the centralization of things, right? Like that's what they really want. Now, in centralization and control, and the reason why is because if I can centralize it and control it, I can set up a toll booth. And that all that means is I can get paid. I can have somebody pay me for that, right? And this is how they think. They think in terms of ownership of property, licensure to use, right? And so, for me to access, if I want to watch No Time to Die with 007, I got to pay $20 on Amazon. Why? Well, because the company, whoever, Lionsgate, I don't know who owns it. Somebody owns the bonds, and they say, hey, we own the Bond movie. We want to put it on the platform that you own, Jeff Bezos, and we want to charge the customer that you have, which is Teddy, to watch it, right? That's how their minds work, right? They think in terms of profitability, like with that framework in mind, right? Ownership creates profit, right? Through a centralized channel. The same way, if I want to cross over the river, yeah, I could get a boat and I could paddle my way across. But if I want to drive my car over and all the goods and equipment and everything I have in my car and be a comfortable ride, I'm going to pay this toll. You know what I'm saying? And they want people to pay the toll. That's what they want people to do, which is fine. You know what I mean? That's the business model. Like, they bring that to the marketplace. That's it. Now you have people who have their feathers ruffled because they see that the already big pockets are making their own plays in the, metaverse and blockchain technology and, all this stuff with, this next phase of the evolution of the internet, which is being called Web3. And they're mad about that. And the thing is that, if what's dope about Web3 is it is decentralized, right? Like I can access any platform I want to access for whatever reason I want to access it for. The thing is the people who are smaller players need to come to the market with something that makes me want to access it. You know what I mean? And this is the battle. This is what's going on. Beforehand, you may have needed, a bunch of servers and a bunch of, hard equipment, hard costs for entering into the market in this way to compete with Amazon and to compete with Netflix and to compete with whoever you want to talk about, right? But nowadays, you don't really need all that, right? Like you can literally, like there's games being made right now that rival EA and, Rockstar Games and, folks that made Fallout and whatnot, and Neversoft and, all that stuff, right? And they're on the blockchain, they're blockchain games, but they're competing with those other games, you know what I'm saying? And, you're like, I don't know how you can make something very successful on the internet without becoming a billionaire. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be a billionaire, or at least hundreds of millions. You know what I'm saying? So there's a narrative that's floating around saying that, well, if you guys don't learn from us, then, you know, the us that was in Web 2, if you guys don't learn, then the Web 3, I mean, the billionaires are just going to push you out of Web 3. You know, that's the marketplace, bro. Like, this is how it goes, man. You got to earn your keep. You know what I mean? If you can market, if you can come up with a good product, if you can, you know, make sure that people like it, then boom, you make money. If you don't, then you don't. You know what I'm saying? What is awesome about the Web3 is that it's the evolution of money itself, right? So I might, if I like Facebook's metaverse, I'll go play in it. Me, Teddy, if I like it, I do VR, and I have a VR headset and all that. I love VR. I'll go play in the metaverse. You know what I mean? But if I like in Facebook's metaverse, if I like another metaverse, then I'll go there. You know what I'm saying? If I think it's better, then I'll go there, right? Like, we got to come to the table with a proper alternative to the things that are co-opted and controlled by, you know, the extremely uber rich, right? But the other thing is, you're not touching my Bitcoin. They can't get my Bitcoin. They can centralize the metaverse. I mean, they can't really centralize the metaverse. And that's the thing, right? Like, they can't centralize none of this stuff. They can't centralize NFT platforms. They can't centralize, you know, the way that we could communicate with inputs and outputs on the blockchain, and you know, so storing records and sending messages and blah, blah, blah. They can't centralize none of that, right? They also can't centralize the control over my funds, right? And that's the real power. You know what I mean? Like, that's the real benefit of Web3. It's not about the social media game anymore. It is, but it's not about that. It's about the freedom, justice, and equality within banking. You know what I mean? And allowing 4.5 billion people on the planet who are not eligible to get a bank account to now engage in global commerce. Bro. In areas that are resource rich. You know what I mean? Rich with resources. You know what I'm saying? And they have the know-how because they've been used and abused by, you know, multinational corporations to go and harvest and process it. Like, they know how to do it, and it's there, right? Now, with being able to engage in global commerce, they don't have to funnel things through their leadership in government, or, you know, the leadership in the area, or whoever is the handpicked overseer in that area. They don't got to do all that anymore. Now they can just go direct. They can open up lines of communication. They can have lines of the flow of inputs and outputs for, you know, funds, for money, and they can use that same mechanism to pay everybody a good wage, right? And the social framework that undergirds all that all needs to, you know what I mean? That all needs to develop and change as it goes, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, that's my 2 cents. This is Web3. You feel me? Little brief history of the internet. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm dumb, maybe I'm lying, maybe I'm stupid, you know what I mean? But maybe I'm right. Peace.